Hello and welcome to Modern Toy Fair. Today we're going to answer the question, is the Haslab Ghost Rider Hellcharger really not worth it, or are collectors just being entitled crybabies? I am your host, Mr. Modern Toy Fair, and I am joined by the founder of the Neck Illuminati, the procrastinator of pre-orders, the delayer of shipments, the YouTube wife, Mrs. Modern Toy Fair, Jarmar _ Games. And obviously
Hello.
missing is the man Modern Toy Fair has full custody over, the man Officer's Prime popped and he still can't stop, the Twilight Knight, the Master of Mech, the three-pump chump, taking the show off the rails, Nate, who could not make it this week. So let him know in the comments below if you're angry with him over that or if you miss him. Send him some sweet nothings. You know,
Jeez.
as one should. Hey, listen, last week you weren't here, and I told people to tell you happy birthday in the comments, and you actually got a happy birthday, so...
No, I mean, I appreciate that. I thought to my title it would be the birthday one, but
Well, if you would have been here last week,
it's
I literally had it planned out that it was going to be the YouTube wife, Mrs. Modern Toy Fair, the birthday boy, Jarmar _ Games, but then you didn't show up, so I couldn't do it.
I don't know. I mean, I just had other obligations that were much more important, like celebrating my 34th birthday. Nah, I'm joking.
God, it was like you're at like 178 now, I think, is what we determined your years are.
Yeah, but
and you look great, by the way. Like, don't get me wrong.
I appreciate it. I drink a lot of bat blood, and yeah, that's really my secret.
That took a turn.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Well, Nate's not even here and we're off the rails, so we're gonna get right into it. So September 16th, the long-awaited announcement of the Haslab anniversary Ghost Rider, crowdfunded figure. And boy, has it been an interesting few days. Who would have thought? So if you watch the show regularly, you probably saw us discuss it a few weeks back with, I think it was just me and Nate. I think you were...
I was gonna say, maybe I wasn't.
I don't think you were here. I think it was me and Nate, and we were discussing like what could they do, because we were discussing the possibility with some of the Haslabs not funding as of late. If there was a chance Haslab could go away. So if you haven't seen that episode, I'll make sure to have it at the end in the little card thingies below us that you can click on. Otherwise, we talked about what they were going to do for Ghost Rider, and we discussed the fact that no way, shape, or form it was going to be a motorcycle. It had to be the Hellcharger because it had to be something that couldn't be put in stores. And they already put figures of motorcycles in stores. So unless they decked it out and made it super expensive, which would have made all the fanboys even more butthurt, there was no way they were going to do the motorcycles. So I have seen so many ridiculous arguments on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, and it all seems to be the vocal minority, because I got it right that time, because as we're recording this, we record on Wednesdays, so as of right now, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it has 4,934 backers. It has been 6 days that this thing has been up. It still has 40 days and some odd hours before it ends. This is getting backed. No one can stop it. No one can convince me it's not getting backed. The fact that it's over the halfway mark in less than a week, it will get there. It just depends on if we will get all the extras from all the people who don't understand that if you can back it and then cancel later if you change your mind, because it doesn't charge you until that final day. Like literally November 1st is when you'll get charged. So you can back it while you're watching the show right now, hopefully on Friday before it ends, because Friday, if it doesn't back by the end of the day, you miss out on the normal un-Ghost Rider form of Robbie Reyes. And people are freaking out like, oh, come on, guys. Like, you even if you change your mind, you don't have to, and this and that. And so it's really curious to see if it's going to be part of it or not. So the big talking point is the price.
Right.
How
much is this
so it
Haslab
is,
for other people?
before shipping and taxes, it is $349.99. Mine after taxes was like taxes and shipping was like 380.
Mm.
Which shipping surprisingly was only $15. I paid more in taxes than I did shipping. Yeah, I don't get it.
That's cheaper than ordering from NECA's website.
Right? Like you pay more than that on just like a single figure from NECA. So if nothing else, they are eating the cost on the shipping for you, because I can tell you right now, because it says Super Saver USPS, and I know for a fact it's going to be above the weight limit, and they're probably going to eat some of the cost on that. So you should probably send them a thank you card in the mail for that one. So I want to get your opinion first, because
Yeah,
we've had
yeah.
tons of discussions over vehicles, especially with the turtle van, and costs and everything like that. So I want your opinion from the outside looking in as someone who doesn't really buy
Like,
into a lot of the Marvel Legends.
yeah. Well, first off, you could just completely discredit my entire opinion for this entire episode if you like to. But for whatever reason, I didn't assume that this was Marvel Legends. I don't know why. So like when I said I'm like Marvel Legends, oh okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I'll put that out there because I'm not ashamed to be,
Well, so let me. Did
an
you
idiot.
not think it was Marvel Legends because it seemed higher quality than that, or did you not think it was Marvel Legends because you didn't realize Ghost
Yes
Rider was
and
Marvel?
no. Well, Ghost Rider is Marvel. I understand that. I mean
Okay.
Marvel Legends as far as like the quality and like price and whatever. It
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't make the connection. But then again, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Every time I saw the figure, I'm like, oh, that's pretty. Oh yeah, that is Marvel Legends, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So not like a shocked or just more of like a, oh yeah, huh, okay. So that does have a factor into like what the value is. But I'm gonna put my disclaimer as well, is that my argument is value is totally completely subjective, right?
Yes.
Completely. Completely. I hit my microphone. This is why I moved it closer.
And I also want to put a disclaimer real quick, because I know a
Yeah.
lot of anyone who isn't a part of that, vocal minority has been called a shill for Hasbro. We literally have built this show's back, the success, on the failures of
Yeah.
Hasbro. We wouldn't be monetized right now if it wasn't for the fact that Hasbro raised prices and put fucking figures in windowless packaging. So don't you dare call us shills, because we have rode their coattails to success. Um,
So that's also subjective as well.
well, that's what the air quotes are for, because it's not really, well, like the fact that we're making money off of YouTube when a lot of people don't, in my
Right.
opinion, is a stepping stone in success.
For
But
sure.
even if it's a very minuscule amount, like not even enough to pay for my hell charger. Um, but that's not the point. The point is that we
Right.
literally, that was our, you know,
Calling card.
not even our conquer,
Or jumping off
our
point.
jumping
Or
off
jumping.
point of
Yeah.
what got us to where we need to be in YouTube's eyes to be monetized. So
Right.
we are far from shills. We have made it vocal that we are not huge fans of Marvel and their their missteps. But go ahead, Jamar.
Yeah. So as we discussed multiple times on the show, coincidentally enough, about Hasbro and Haslab for multiple reasons. His tank, what was the Star Wars monster dude? And
Rancor.
Rancor. Yeah, that was actually one of probably our first Haslab things that we actually discussed, if I'm not mistaken. Because I don't think we talked about
It's
like
really hard
Sentinel or
because
anything
remember
like
we
that.
did the news back in the day, so we
That's
talked
true.
about a
That's
lot
true.
of them, but it was more so
Yeah.
in just in passing, not so much
On
like
podcast
entire
proper is
episode.
what I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah, on podcast proper. This is like that was like our first discussion. But
Mhm.
like basically as this progressively got on, I'm still the person from the outside looking in. It's like, I don't know. Maybe something eventually may catch my eye. But as far as the value and what the worth is, I think that it's less of an issue of what you get being the value, but I'm starting to believe that maybe this has lab needs a restructure as far as like taking the crowdfunding campaign out of the whole thing. And I think that will solve this issue because I think this is worth 350. It's a cool vehicle. It looks like it has a ton of details, sort of like the Super 7 turtle tank
Mm-hmm.
or turtle tank.
Turtle tank.
Super
I mean,
7
it is a big
turtle
bitch, so I
tank.
can see why you call
It
it a
is big.
turtle
Yeah,
tank.
it's big. So it has like those like minute details, like really small and granular. I've heard you say multiple times the LED effects, the flame, like it's awesome. The pose that it shows within, like on the cover, like sort of that same, posable style with the car. Like it's really cool. It's really really fucking cool. 350. of course, that's totally up to you. And the reason why I say it's up to you, and the reason why I say I kind of feel like the crowdfunding idea or aspect of this sort of should go, is because the value can be higher, it can be more. Because most people,
Higher or
like,
more
I
of the
would,
same thing?
well, it could be like your value could be higher and more, is what I guess I'll say.
So you're saying
Is
you could get
based off
more
of,
and pay higher, is what you're saying?
no, what I'm saying is that your perspective of what your value you're getting out of it can be more because of the things that could be added to it with the
Okay.
tiers, right? So like I've seen different things of like, well, they're just pricing this at 350 because of the tiers that they're gonna have, like the tier items, or oh, this the 350 is for everything. Like you have to look at a bigger picture, and is the 350 for just the vehicle and the figure, and like that. I think everyone's arguing about the same thing. But if we just laid it out on the table and said this is the Haslab bundle or something like that, and I get that you're gonna say, well, they have to raise this money to make this project. I think that they could do it in a different way that will get rid of this, because every single time there's a Haslab thing that comes out now, it's about the value. And then we go into it, like we will go into comparison, which I'm curious to hear, like your argument on some
Oh,
of
we have
these like
so many
comparisons.
comparisons
I'm
to make.
sure you're gonna go,
I don't
so
know.
I'm
We're,
not
we're
gonna
gonna be
take up,
we're gonna be late for OnlyFigs with the comparisons
yeah,
I have to make.
I'm not gonna take up too much of the time, but I do feel like it's always, always, always gonna be a comparison, because you have one Haslab thing here, you have this one here, and you're like, okay, well, this was this much, and this one's this much, and it's all these different things, and really you're buying into either A, the fandom of the property that they're using, B, what you're getting for the base amount, and then C, you're buying into like the excitement or seeing what other items that you're gonna get, because you're gonna get more stuff with it regardless. Has there ever been one where they're like, nope, we're just giving you this?
No,
So
they've
it's
always had stretch goals to my knowledge.
exactly, so that's why I just feel that I use my only other parallel that I have with an industry that I do keep a close eye on in gaming. And when you see this, sometimes it kind of popped up for a little bit and then fizzled out, where like video game studios were like, hey, we want to crowdfund this game we want to be able to make, but it was from like the publisher side. So like an Activision or EA had something involved with it. And it's kind of like, no, just make it. And if it's good, we'll pay for it kind of thing. Like you don't use our money to make a product because you're unsure. Just make it. And if it's a
Well,
great
it's
product,
not
people
so
will buy it.
much the unsure part. Like that's how they
Yeah.
come up with the pricing, because with it being a smaller run than something that's mass produced for retail,
Oh,
it will determine how cheap it is or expensive it is to make. Um,
that's not.
but here's
Let
my
me.
my middle ground for you. So instead of getting rid of
Uh,
the crowdfund aspect, what if they did this instead? The day one, they announce all the tiers, just like if you were doing a GoFundMe. There was no hesitation, no like, oh, I don't know what I'm getting, so I don't want to do it. Everything's laid out on the table. It still has that set number of, it has to be backed by this day, and if we hit these goals, this is what you get. No more of this every week fanfare bullshit, because at the end of the day, like, I get it, they want to make a big deal of it and stretch and keep it in the conversation.
Yeah.
But you put everything on the table. Maybe you have a couple things pulled back, so that way if it does his tank level success, you can be like, hey, we knocked all these out of the park within the first week. If we hit this goal, we'll add this figure. If we add this goal, we'll add this accessory. Stuff like that.
Sure.
And that can be your way of having the fanfare in between. Or even if it's almost to that final tier and you're like, well, maybe this will get them to go over because they'll want this to get funded too. Something like you don't have to have it where it's, drawn out the way it is.
Right.
Which was a lot of people were saying, oh, that's one thing I forgot to get a picture of. The Mephisto figure got announced the other day.
Oh yeah.
And people were like, oh, they're just doing it because it's not getting funded fast enough. I'm like, no, they did this with the His Tank. Like, His Tank got funded the night of, and they still made us wait like 5 days before they announced the next thing. Like, that's just how they've done it. Like, they're not reactionary like that.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm more so of the mind of, let's just get rid of like the BS idea that, like, I mean, sure, we won't be able to make it if we don't have X amount of people, right? I'm sure they have like a number and everything, right? But instead, I feel like it should just be done in the opposite, sort of like what you're saying. Here's the entire bundle. We're not crowdfunding this. We're putting this out here. If everyone, if we have X amount of people make it or buy it, then we're gonna make it and
That's
deliver it.
crowdfunding. That's all it is.
Yeah, but
Like you're
just
literally
don't
just
use it.
you're like you don't want to use the term or the meter or anything. You
No,
just
just
want it
say
to be
like,
like
yeah,
we're gonna set from this date to that date, depending on how many
if we
pre-orders we
get this
get,
many
we'll do
orders,
it. If not, the only problem with that is you need that for the buyer aspect because people may be hesitant
well,
or
you can
wait,
track
and if
it.
they don't see that
Yeah,
tracker to see like, oh man, it's real close to making it, I should probably get mine in there if I want this made, versus like, oh, it's not even halfway, then that's also detrimental to it because the people are like, oh, it's probably not getting back to some, so not bother. Or it's real close to this goal. Like you kind of need that for the psychological aspect of it because a lot of people, that will be their FOMO senses to be like, oh, I should probably get off the pot instead of holding off. But at least if you have all the stuff up front, they don't have the
here's the
excuse of like waiting to see what they're gonna get.
here's the thing. You could say this is the bundle and this is what you're gonna get. And if you buy it within the or if you pre-order within the first week, then you're gonna get this bundle and
Mm-hmm.
that'll have everything in it. If you wait a week later, then you'll get this one that'll we're taking out this figure. And then you still create that urgency, but everybody knows you know everything on the table. This is what it is, and this is what it
I'm all for
costs.
that.
Yeah.
I just don't like the idea of getting rid of the meter just because you have nothing to gauge, is this going to get made or not. You just know that, okay,
Well,
at the end of the month or whenever they do it, I'm either going to get charged or I'm not. Like that, like, because they're
yeah, I mean, there could be
in your scenario,
communication.
either they are going to do it straight up like NECA, where they do their pre-orders made to order, or even Super 7, and you have to pay up front. And no matter what, like it gets made, but one, you're gonna pay more because they can't guarantee that a certain
Well, you're
number.
still technically paying up front for this. You
You're
just
not
have to
though,
wait until
because
it ends.
you get a
You're
month
waiting
and a
40
half
days.
to like see if you want it or not. Versus like, so like you could you like, I did it day one because I'm like, no matter what, I'm gonna get it because I want the car. I don't give a shit about anything else. I want the car.
Right.
Um, but you take that and you expand on that where if you wait too long, then it might not get
Well, now
funded.
you're only now you waited too long, and now you're gonna get the vehicle, and you know the bundle that you're gonna get,
Mm-hmm.
and
But here's the thing
that
though,
was your
like
mistake.
they're gonna have to charge more because they can't, because it's either not, if it's not gonna get made by the end of it, or if they're gonna do it like Super 7. If they do it like Super 7, then you have to pay up front and it's gonna be more expensive because they can't guarantee that number. That's the whole reason they
That's
do the
fair.
crowdfunding, is because that magic number they set is how much they can do to where they get the profits that corporate wants
Sure.
and cover their costs at the same time.
We just
Like, so that's going to be
go
like
ahead.
the
All
only
I'm
way.
saying is if this is I'm just telling you how they can figure this out. They're the $1 million
They're
company.
not going to.
They can figure
No
this out.
corporation
But
does.
if you don't want this bickering every single time there's a Haslab that's announced, or whether it's worth it or not, and keep on doing it, don't change it because this is giving us content
Oh
to
yeah, it's
make.
giving us stuff
So
to feed off
definitely
of.
keep it the same, Hasbro, for sure. But what I'm
Keep it
saying is
100.
I feel like it will help reduce the amount of bickering between it if you know this is what I'm paying for, this is what I'm going to get, and I have this amount of time to pay for it. Whether it is a little bit more or it's not or whatnot, I can't, speak for their financial backing or whatever
Mm-hmm.
it would be for it, right? But what I can just simply throw out here as a one person on the internet is to say that, like, from what I've seen, a lot of people's issue is the value of this figure is the car and everything else, and which this will lead into like you to hop on your
Mm-hmm.
soapbox. Is it worth it? Because when I say this vehicle with the LED effects and some of the interchangeable tires and all that good stuff, right? Is that worth $350? I didn't pre-order the Ninja Turtle van from Super 7, and I have a fucking entire room dedicated to Ninja Turtles. So
But what about the
I
NECA one?
obviously neither one of them. No,
Really? I didn't know you didn't do the
because
NECA one.
my issue, and we kind of
Procrastinating
discussed this on
pre-orders.
previous podcasts, is the vehicles aren't like not a huge draw for
Mm-hmm.
me because as you can see, everything's on the shelf, and then everything that's not out of a box is in a box. I just don't really have the idea and space for a vehicle.
And that's the
So to
point of
put
the
another
Haslab.
vehicle.
It's for a smaller market. It's not meant for the masses.
Oh, No, that's all I'm saying is that's why it's not a value or
Yeah,
worth to
that's
me.
exactly it though.
Yeah.
Like that is you
Yeah,
are the
that's
perfect
fine.
example. The Haslab is not made for everyone. So anyone who is on the internet boo-hooing saying this they didn't make the thing I wanted. The world
But
doesn't revolve around you.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's not even so much that just because it's not geared towards you, Ghost Rider is not really even
Yeah, I don't give a shit about Ghost Rider
remotely
at
one
all.
of
Like it's
my
a cool
yeah,
character, but like
sure.
I'm
But
selling all
like
the figures. I don't give a shit.
what I mean is everyone has their own view of value. And for me, 350, that seems steep. Do
Mm-hmm.
I know what everything am I under the assumption that there's gonna be more? Yeah. So would that change my opinion on like is it totally worth 350? Sure, because you're not just getting this, you're gonna get more things out of it, which is cool. And I imagine it's gonna be neat things that like are specific to like this property, but like 350 is a lot of
Oh,
money
it is a
and
lot of money. Yeah.
we've gotten other things and sometimes it's not worth it to you because you're not in the financial situation to buy it, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's not worth you, like that goes back to is it
It's
value
100%.
is
It's
subjective,
not meant
right,
for everybody. That is the point of
right,
Haslab. It
right,
is
right.
dream projects that are
But
for a niche market.
again, some of these things that you're going to go into, just keep this in mind now of different things that you're going to compare it to that people are like, oh, well, I got this for X amount of dollars. Why am I getting this for this amount? Sure. But you're probably going to get more than just what you see in these like photos right now or just what they release. We
Yeah.
already
Well,
know,
so me
that
and
you're getting.
Nate,
So,
every time we talk about the Haslabs on this show, have
uh,
always extensively expressed you need to base it off of the initial Haslab. If you are sitting there going, is
oh,
this worth it based off the extras I might get? You are looking at it through the wrong lens. The extras are
true.
literally just icing on the cake. You need to focus on the cake.
That is true. But the way they market this with the
Well,
crowdsourcing or
they have to.
crowdfunding, exactly that's my point. But that basically they're creating this like they're creating the issue
Oh
by
yeah,
adding more
100%.
things to it.
I
That's
agree. They have
yeah,
pigeonholed
that's my
themselves
point.
into
So
this
you can't
situation where
tell
they have to
someone
have it, and that's why most of the other like companies within Hasbro struggle is because Marvel Legends specifically has made it where you get figure after figure after figure instead of accessories, and that has fucked over everyone else. That is why the Rancor got screwed because everyone was expecting, oh, I'm gonna get all these figures they haven't released or they need to re-release. Instead, they got
yeah.
fucking bones and a backdrop, and they were super upset. And there was another one that people even the his tank people were upset about the accessory packs that came with it. They wanted to get nothing but trooper
Word.
figures.
Yeah.
And they got a shit ton of those anyway. So real quick, I do want to get into the actual thing itself, so
Go
we can
ahead.
go over
Yeah,
value and
let's
everything.
talk about
So
is it
we've been
worth it
going for
now?
already 20 minutes, so I want to try to actually make this not a 3-hour episode. Sorry, OBS is updated, so I have to figure out where the fuck things are now.
Right.
So here it is, the initial figure you get the charger in the background. So you're getting the Ghost Rider Robbie Reyes figure, which I think they've made one. I can't remember. I've seen people compare it to an old one, but I got so busy looking up all the comparisons that people were complaining about, I didn't get a chance to really look. So let's break down what you get with the initial offering. So you get the figure, you get the actual car, which can be that comes with swappable parts, so you can have it in day mode or in Ghost Rider mode. With that, you have 4 interchangeable tires that are translucent, like fiery reddish orange, a bunch of translucent fire effects that go on those tires, a swappable engine that's on fire in that same translucent plastic, and tailpipe effects that are also same translucent, orange and red, which my understanding based on conversations I've heard, translucent stuff is a little more expensive. Not super expensive, but a little more expensive than normal just because of what goes into it to make it that way. I could be wrong, again, from what I've heard. On top of that, then, you have the trail effects to make it look like it's, driving away. The figure itself comes with the head, a fire effect, 3 tools. Looks like I think it's a crowbar, a wrench, and a hammer. And then you also get the version that has the chain attached to it. So one thing I want to point out about this, if this was in a normal Marvel Legends wave, that chain would be a plastic just piece of shit that you wouldn't be able to pose. It'd be stuck in a certain position. You're getting an actual metal chain with this. So this is already above what your standard figure gets through the Marvel Legends treatment. The car itself has 20 LEDs. The grille lights up, the engine lights up. Each wheel has a built-in piece that the things hook onto that lights up. You've got the tailpipes light up, and then you have the back of the headrest of the driver's seat lights up to make it look like his flaming hair is lit up. So that way you get the full effect when you're using this, whether it's on display, figure photography, whatever you do. So all of that right there. I have talked to several people who do not either collect Marvel Legends heavily, do not collect a whole lot, or are just outside people like you, outside looking in. I explained to them what you get, explained to them everything I'm about to explain here, and made them guess how much it would cost. Every single one of them guessed between $400 and $500. So they were shocked when I said $350. So this is literally a collector problem at this point, because outside looking in, people who are not in the line at all, or very rarely like get involved in it, aside from like picking something up at Target, are like impressed with how inexpensive it is compared to what they expected. Which, yes, I get it's not made for them, but that's still, and like telling them that and they shot that high consistently, it's kind of a
I'll let you have that one. I'm being the contrarian, but for sake of not making this a 3-hour show, I will say that's kind of that's not like necessarily fair, because if someone's like a PC enthusiast and they name like what you could do in it, someone's like, oh my god, that must be $1,000, but really it's only like a $50 part. Their imagination is a little bit more wilder.
People generally think toys aren't worth anything. It's not like a PC, which is usually expensive.
Sure.
If they saw something like this at Target, they would assume it's $100 usually. Just saying.
Yeah,
that's my argument. That's my argument with it. I'm not saying that because it's obviously not made for them. I'm not using that as a baseline of you should be appreciative to Hasbro. I'm saying that consistently, people who are completely outside looking in see this and they expected it to be more expensive than what it was. That was my point. That's the only point I'm making. I'm not saying using that as a go fuck yourself or anything like that. That's literally all it is. Is just saying that outside looking in, people are generally think this was going to be more expensive, and they were surprised. Not saying they also were like, oh my god, that's a great value, I'm going to buy it either. Just saying that they expected it to be more expensive.
Yeah. Okay.
So the car itself, I mean, I've got a picture here of it all lit up. It looks fantastic. We've even got like the better picture of it, like kind of dark with the wheels lit up. We've got the head rest lighting up his head. I do wish it lit up his mouth a little better. I don't know if that's just like a positioning thing, but I don't know. From there, this is the thing that sold me on the value. So before I get into it, most vehicles you get nowadays in a 6-inch figure line or close to, the interior is pretty subpar. They don't put a lot of effort. Just like the old like Kenner figures back in the day, where like it would just kind of slide in there and it would just sit there. It didn't have like a lot to it. This thing, the fucking gear shift, according to the video, moves. So like that's just unnecessary, but fucking cool as hell. If you look at the dashboard, the dials for the radio, the vents, the light bar, all of the like speedometers, all are actually sculpted and then have paint or stickers in them, rather than just being like a sticker dashboard. The steering wheel has the little like turn signal bit. You go even further down. Let me see. Nope. Next one. The pedals. You have a gas, brake, and a fucking clutch pedal molded in that are hanging down. They're not just like attached to the ground.
Yeah.
The floorboards have molded floor mats. The the seats have it like molded with like some riveting to make it look like it's an actual car seat instead of just being a flat piece of plastic. Like they went all out with this interior, and that's what sold on me for the value, is the fact that you're paying for every little detail. You're not just paying for a car. One of the things that people keep comparing it to is McFarlane. because McFarlane has given us the 66 Batmobile and the soon to come out, I don't think it's released yet, the what's it called? The Batmo Beast, that's right. Batmo Beast. Yeah. It's the monster truck. So first, let's start with the 66 Batmobile. This car is not even in scale with its figure line. If you look at this picture I have, Jarmar, the car doesn't even come up to Batman's dick.
It's a lowrider.
and they sit in it. They sit in it like a fucking Barbie and Ken doll with their heads sticking above the windshield. This is not an in-scale figure for its own 5-inch line. And you're going to tell me that's your shining example of why the Haslab isn't worth it?
Well, here's the thing. How much does this cost?
This was like, I think, I want to say it was like $50. But that's what people are saying. I can get this for $50, but I have to pay $350 for something that's in scale with a full fucking sculpted interior, lights, and all these effects and extras. I'm sorry. Fair. That's a fucking children's toy for adults. And then if you want to even up the ante, and this one, I'm sorry, I don't know the price of it, but I want to say it was like $80. I could be wrong. I know it's less than $100. The Batmo Beast. So I don't have a picture with the cab on it because I wanted to specify again, because the cab is just a plastic piece that goes over top of it. It comes off, has no working doors or nothing like that, which makes sense because I'm pretty sure it's how real monster trucks work. But the interior of it, yes, it does have some sculpt for the engine and stuff. This also is not in scale of its own line. Monster trucks, much like normal cars, while they don't have a passenger seat, have room for 2 people. Batman barely fits in there by himself. His steering wheel takes up the entire dashboard.
I mean, if this, I'm on your side on this one. If someone's using this as an example comparison, or like as a comparison example, this one is pretty chintzy. Yeah. Because I mean, most of the moding is basically like
it's all one color. It's all one fucking piece. Someone could have fucking made something better with a 3D printer. Like this, nothing against McFarlane. Good for him.
No.
Good for him for adventuring out and getting shit to the stores that you wouldn't normally get. But this is not a shining example of I paid less than $100 for this, so why should I have to pay $350 for something that's in scale? It lights up and is molded and it's individually painted. Even if this thing had a molded dash with 2 seats, it's all just fucking gray.
It's fair. That's fair. That's pretty laughable of his comparison.
Like that's my problem is people keep comparing it to these chintzy ass toys that aren't being like had the love poured into them that this thing did, and being like, oh, this, why can't I get this for this? And McFarlane's God, blah blah blah. He does all this for us and keeps prices low. Hasbro's just money grabbing. No, there's a clear difference in quality, and if you can't see it, then this was definitely not made for you, because look at this thing. Like if this was my shining example, I don't know what I'd do. Also, for anyone wondering, I'm gonna keep a link in the below for the person's Instagram. I don't know how to say it. Zaya Omuku. I don't know. I'm gonna assume I fucked that up. But it's the name that's there with the little Instagram logo. These pictures are from that person's Instagram, thanks to Toy News International. I will put a link in the description below for their Instagram, so that way you can check them out. Thank you for that. What other comparisons do we have here? So, people saying that the LED lights should not have affected the price that much. Okay, so pre-pandemic, 2018, Mezco is still the love of my life, and I defend them with every last breath. And they are slowly, very slowly, releasing their X-Men line. They release good old Scott Summers Cyclops. He has one LED. It is in a special sculpted neck peg that goes up into his head. This figure costs $20 more than the average Mezco at the time. Instead of $80, he was $100. For those playing at home, that's a 25% increase. This also ruined the figure because now he cannot articulate his head worth shit. And when you lit him up, it literally made almost his entire face glow red, so the effect just made it look like he was blushing all the time. If that costs 25% more for one little fucking light up in his dome that ruined the figure, it probably costs a decent amount to special sculpt fucking wheel wells, or I don't know what they're called. I'm not a car person.
Axle.
It's not the axle's the middle piece. The
Yeah,
actual
but if
wheel
you're running
piece.
the LED through the
No, the LEDs are actually
the,
in the wheel piece on all four of them. Like it's a special
like
molded
rotor
piece.
part.
Rotor,
right?
yeah, the rotor part.
Okay. I see what
So
you're saying.
they're special molded in that to be able to light up. Even like if you put the normal wheels on, you can still light it up and it'll like glow through the rims.
Like, yeah.
So
Quick question though, because again, I'm here.
This is pre-pandemic prices,
right? I'm just here solely as like the contrarian, since Nate's not here. I feel like he would fill into this void because I'd say like what you like, but this one I don't know if I can let you slide necessarily on this because I get your example because of the one LED, but it almost was as if this figure wasn't designed to have the LED in it.
Oh, it was
So
from
they
day
had
one.
to,
Ever since day one, they advertised that he would have a light up visor.
Okay, so they just probably suck. But also, my point is,
I mean,
you're talking about a smaller head, right? For
that's a 6-inch.
to...
That's literally the same size head as a normal Marvel Legends head.
Okay, no, I know. That's what I'm saying. Shoving an LED into the head of like I mean, what? I mean, we're talking
so
2.5 inches.
To give you an idea what they did. So all it is there's the neck piece goes down into the chest. You pull it out. That has a little watch battery piece inside, and there's a switch. So this they literally just took where the normal neck piece would go and replaced it with a plastic mold that had the light built in, and they hollowed his face out so that way when you put it on, it glows through it. And if you turn his head, it also won't glow through his visor.
So if you believe that they had that plan from the beginning,
I do, because they continue. They've used that several times. Oh, I agree. But that's what I'm saying. Is that costs 25% more for that shitty ass fucking technology?
Exactly, though. But here's my point. This is my point that I'm trying to make. Is that putting it like trying to engineer LED in something like a figure like that probably is a little clumsy, and they may not have the greatest engineering because they are making very boutique is what I would call them. They're Ken dolls. Anyways, so making it though, putting LEDs in a larger vehicle may not necessarily. I get your point. Like LEDs would be more expensive to
I'm just saying the molding and the
but we can't go like, all right, there's one LED that costs 25% more. Well, there's 5
I'm just
LEDs.
saying that if a company charges that much more, it clearly has some costs involved just for the sculpting aspect of it, of getting it to functionality. True, but I think
I would be on the side that I think it would probably be easier to do it in a vehicle being a little bit larger.
Oh yeah, everything's easier when it's bigger.
Yeah, you can put LEDs in those and not be as difficult. I just want to say, I'm just contrary.
No, I 100% agree with you. I agree. It is probably easier to put it in a bigger thing. Just like that's why Hot Toys looks so much better than everything else, because it's easier to get the sculpt accurate, but you're also paying 3 times as much for a Hot Toy.
Well, because they're lifestyle Ken dolls, but
that's
all I'm saying. I don't want to.
I agree. It is easier to do that.
Keeping you honest.
It is easier to do that. I'm just saying in general, for anyone saying that the cost should not be that much, like if I wish I had this figure so I could show you how simplistic that neck joint is.
Oh, I'm not. I kind of believe that it's
real pitiful, and they continued to use it for a while. For several things. They just haven't had anything light up for. I'm like terrified for the Ghost Rider figure, which that's another comparison I have. Yeah. So they have this lovely Ghost Rider figure here from Mezco, which again still hasn't shipped and will probably still not have shipped by the time the Hellcharger ships. This figure has a light up head, which means it's probably gonna have that shitty fucking peg and it's not gonna be able to articulate. It also has light up parts and sounds and stuff like that, all that good stuff. It is $250.
Okay.
And now there was a little bit of an uproar about it, like boo-hooing, but now people are saying, well, Mezco did that for $250 and it's actually good quality. I'm sorry. A year ago, when that thing went up to pre-order, people were like, ugh, $250? That's unacceptable. And now they're like, that's fucking worth it, but this isn't?
Yeah, I mean, with this one, if you're using this as a comparison, outside of your very colorful sound effects. Um, I would say that, yeah, I mean, this is basic math. You have two wheels on a motorcycle, you have four wheels on a car. So if it's not double the price, you can't argue with that.
I love
Don't
it.
hit me up in the
I,
comments. That is
fucking at
100%
me, bro.
sound.
Fucking at me. I will argue that one for you. I love that math.
But no,
Oh
that
my god, that was
here's the thing.
incredible.
That actually is probably the greatest example, the Mezco one, of showing the value and showing that 350 really isn't that much more. If this was 250, and I
Mm.
understand you get the soft goods, you
Yeah, I mean,
know, blah blah
Mezco is
blah blah.
supposed to be a higher quality. I say that in
Yeah,
quotations because, one, if you get it shipped, it's a 50-50 anymore if it's going to look the way they originally planned it or if they rushed it out just to shut us up. Because there's been a few figures that, like, turned out real bad.
yeah. I mean, like the LED thing you explained, that
Yeah,
sounds
like
awful.
Cyclops.
But
Uh,
that sounds very, very awful. But yeah, that I can understand the comparison between the two. So then you're getting a higher quality vehicle, or you're getting a higher quality character with the Mezco, but you're getting a higher quality vehicle from the Marvel Legends side. So
mhm.
it kind of balances it out. And two wheels plus two, you know, that's four, and it's not double the price. It could be 500 because there's four wheels as opposed to two. So like I like that one. That's the best example I would say that bolsters your
I'm not
your
gonna lie.
stance.
I did not expect that to go so well in my
Well,
favor just because of the number of wheels. To be honest. So
simple math.
I have a couple more comparisons real quick. So one isn't really one that's being made, but it's one I'm gonna make, and that is the turtle van from NECA.
Huh?
Not the Super 7 one, because the Super 7 one people bitched about. The turtle van from NECA, aside from it looking weird, people genuinely were pretty positive about it. Um, this does have LED headlights. Granted, we never actually see them on in any of the pictures. They just kind of vaguely show them in their little video, so it's hard to tell if it's actually a finished product or not. Um, but it was 250. This is so measurement wise. Let me see if I still have. I have it written down somewhere. Measurement wise, it is 4 inches shorter than the Hell Charger. This is 14 inches. The Hell Charger is 18 inches. So
That's
and also it's also less width as well. I believe. I think I had that somewhere. Did I write it down? I don't think I did. Um, I want to say Hell Charger is, I want to say 10 inches wide, maybe. I don't know. It's either the same width or a slightly bigger width than the Turtle Van. So it is bigger than the Turtle Van from NECA.
mm-hmm.
And I'm still going to file my biggest complaint that for a year or two, NECA was like, oh yeah, we're going to make the inside completely modular so you can do whatever you want with it. And then they kind of threw that out the window. So I have a picture of the inside, just me being a spiteful bitch. The other comparison I want to make real quick is, so if you've watched this show and also watched any of the reviews, you know that I bought the Jazzinks Justice Mobile, which then got fully licensed by Warner Brothers and became just the BVS Batmobile. It's 1/12 scale. It's you can see there they have the Mezco Justice League Batman in it. It looks beautiful, and it is in real life. It looked beautiful too. It was $400 before they were licensed, and that's when I pre-ordered it. And anyone who pre-ordered it before did not have to pay a cent more after they got licensed. We had to wait 2 years for the licensing nonsense to go through, but that's the thing people don't realize is good old Mickey Mouse wants his cut of the cheddar, and this went up $50 when it was licensed. So anyone who ordered it after they got officially licensed through Warner Brothers had to pay $50 more simply because it was licensed. So licensing is not cheap, especially for these popular things. And I guarantee Disney's is probably even more expensive than that because it's a much more popular market nowadays with the movies and stuff. And I'm still butthurt the fact that, as you can see, the actual dashboard has some sculpting, but underneath Batman's little elbow there are these buttons next to the gear shift that were supposed to be molded, and the final product was a sticker. Paid $400 for that. Well,
so what
Hasbro made it fucking molded for $350. Fuck you, Juiced.
What we have discovered is it's not so much is 350 or is this worth 350. It's what kind of poor life choices does Michael make in his purchases of vehicles?
So Real quick, the last picture I have is another problem that I saw. This was literally a comment I saw, and I was baffled at how many people responded to it agreeing. People are complaining, saying Hasbro is too cheap for not paying the licensing rights to use the Dodge Charger logo. So I was like,
Wait.
oh, you're having the same thought I did. So I'm like, I didn't think that Marvel would shell out the money in the comics to make it officially licensed. That's wild. So I did some Google searching. I searched and searched and searched. I cannot find a single picture with actual Dodge logos on this fucking car. It is implied to be a Charger. It is referred to as the Hell Charger. It is never referred to as a Dodge Charger on the actual car itself. There's no logos. I have looked through picture after picture. The only thing I find with a logo is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s version. I think still had the GT logo.
Okay.
And some fan art had the logos on it. But none of the actual comic book art did. So anyone has that argument, shush. Like, you have zero legs to stand on right now because this is a comic book action figure and the comic book isn't licensed. So
yeah,
please sit back down.
That's a bit of a stretch. That one I would say someone threw that out there just as.
This person was avidly livid. They were fighting people, and I'm just
it sounds like that person should just buy a model kit. It's what those are like $30 at your local Hobby Lobby.
That happened, and I was so just dumbfounded because at first I was like, "Oh shit! I never realized that Marvel licensed that." So I was genuinely interested and went looking, and I just couldn't find it. So I went and I couldn't find it. So it was just someone being boo boo.
Yeah, I mean it would be weird if they called it, like Hell Charger. Maybe they just assumed that it had the logo.
Yeah, don't be wrong. It's heavily implied that it is a Dodge Charger.
Charger is like a specific type, with the engine and whatnot. So yeah,
I get it because it is heavily implied to be a Dodge Charger. I'm simply saying to say that is a bullshit point on Hasbro's part.
Yeah.
When it's never officially licensed in the comics. That's on you, bro. That's just you nitpicking for no reason. The only other point I really wanted to make is some people were also butthurt, especially, I'm not going to say him by name because I'm not going to give him the fucking satisfaction. We talked about him when we did the list, the dude who did the list of reviewers. There was one that he said was like a piece of shit.
I mean, there was a couple of them on there.
Well, no, but there was one that he explicitly said this guy's a piece of shit.
Oh,
yeah. So,
I know the guy.
So he, oddly enough, because of all this, popped up in my feed. His video literally was just a thumbnail that said "fuck you, Hasbro," and it looked like a child wrote it. So I clicked on it, and oh man, he just went.
Got you.
He went ham, and I'm just like, bro. I was like, I'm gonna hurt your metrics because I'm not even gonna let you get past 30 seconds. I'm closing this video out. If you made it to this point, that secret. Guess what? You've already given us an hour of your time.
And they're like, no, I could have been closed this out.
So one of his arguments was, it's the anniversary of Ghost Rider. I'm sorry, I can't remember the number. I keep wanting to say 80, but I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's Spider-Man. I don't think that's Ghost Rider.
That seems
it's a big number though.
Like 50 maybe, or 40?
I think it's 60. I don't know.
Really?
I'm not a big fan for not Hasbro. Well, that too. I'm not a big fan of Ghost Rider, so I don't honestly know off the top of my head. But he was like, the fact that this wasn't Johnny Blaze really grinded his gears. He's like, how would you like it if it was your birthday and they brought the cake to your cousin instead of you? And I'm like, first off, this is not the anniversary of Johnny Blaze. This is the anniversary of Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is a mantle that's handed down to character. Guess who happens to be a Ghost Rider? Robbie Reyes. So, anyone who's...
Go ahead.
So anyone who's being boo-hoo butt-face about that, get off your fucking high horse. There was never a chance it was going to be Johnny Blaze. If they would have charged you even $150 for a fucking light-up motorcycle, y'all would have burnt the fucking corporate headquarters to the ground. So don't try to act like it should have been Johnny Blaze. Second of all, with it being the anniversary, Think of how many fucking endless waves of Spider-Man shit we've gotten because of this anniversary. You don't think we're not going to get a deluxe motorcycle at fucking Target that's like $70 that comes with the figure and the motorcycle plus an entire wave of Ghost Rider figures? Like, come on now. You know they're going to cash in. If they're riding that shit through Haslab, they are 100% going to ride it through the stores. So don't act like you're not going to get the toys you want. You're just not getting it in the form where it's expensive and for a small market. Simple as that.
That's fair. And if you don't like the representation you're getting for anniversaries, try being a fan of any Nintendo property that has an anniversary, because they don't give a fuck.
Nope.
They'll give you a fucking pen and say, here you go. Happy 35th anniversary, Zelda.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So the whole purpose of this lovely soapbox episode isn't so much to tell you you're wrong. It's to tell you to sit down. That you don't need... No one gives a shit about your opinion. No one gives a shit about our opinion. I'm going to probably get comments saying they don't give a shit about our opinion. And I'm okay with that. At me in the comments because it helps the algorithm. And I'll be happy to argue with you. Because you can ask this guy. We had an entire fucking show that was about me arguing. So I'm here for it. It is simply about, if it's not for you, guess what? It wasn't made for you. Most toys aren't. If everything was made for you, assuming that you're married or have a family, they'd leave you because you'd have nothing but fucking toys and boxes everywhere and have no money because you'd have to spend it all because it would all be made for you.
Excuse me.
I'm just saying that if everything was made for everybody at all times, you would not have the space nor the money that to be able to do it. And realistically, it would, if you insisted on having everything, it would ruin your relationships with the people you live with and spend your time with. Like, there's a reason why it's not made for everybody.
It's my stuff I want it now. I just want to point out on this episode that I was a contrarian and I tried to bring him down just a little bit.
At me, bro.
But, at the end of the day, I will say the comparisons that you made, although I'm not gonna spend $350 on this, absolutely not.
This was not to convince anyone to spend $350.
It next to other different things like in the same price range, it is reasonable. Mm-hmm. It's not as insane as it should be. We've covered why
that was my only goal, was to squash the bullshit. I didn't give a shit if my goal is not to convince you to buy this. I don't give a shit if you buy this because I'm going to get it regardless.
You want it back.
Well, no, because it's going to get backed. It has 40 days and it has less than 5,000 to go to get backed. So I'm going to get my hell charger in a year anyway, whether you buy it or not. So I don't give a shit. I'm just saying I'm tired of all the bullshit excuses.
Hey, Siri, remind me in 40 days to check with Michael. I'm just saying, this is either going to be the greatest statement that has ever came out of the show. So
all right. Well, we're late for OnlyFigs. So on that note, if you want to at me in the comments, fucking do it. Otherwise, make sure to give us a subscribe if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more real fucking hot takes and other lovely toy content. And of course, follow us Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Modern Toy Fair. Check us out here live on twitch.tv/Modern Toy Fair, Wednesday nights, 10 p.m.-ish Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about our weekly purchases, if we have any. And check out Jarmar's wonderful podcast, Why You're a Gamer, on all podcast platforms, along with your Metal account. You have to explain that one.
Metal.tv/Jarmar_games or Jarmar Games. I don't know what it is. The link will be in the below.
You haven't given it to me. I don't have it below.
Oh, I just assumed you followed me because I sent you the thing. But
when did you send me the thing? I fucking.
Every time I send you a clip, Michael, it's from Metal. That is the support that we get from this podcast. I appreciate it. But yeah, the link will be in the below eventually at some point.
If he sends me the link, I will be happy to put it in below. In the description below. Why we call it the below? It's not the fucking upside down. I'd ask Nate what's he got for this week, but what he's got is probably.
No, I actually received a text message from Nate. He wanted to make sure that we mention his new podcast, Missing and Afraid. That is a podcast where me and him record every episode when we're not here. We actually record an episode of Missing and Afraid. So check us out on all your podcast platform choice. Nate will have an episode coming up next week because he's not here. He is missing and afraid.
And you know what? Here soon, there'll be more episodes of that than there will be of this podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Same toy time, same toy for our channel. Thank you for watching.